and the crucifixion. And I was like, all right, that's it. I'm coming in and I'm gonna see if I can get a chance to talk to him. But Wadu got in there and just gave him a tongue lashing from hate. Holy crap! He goes, "Shut your mouth, listen to me," and I'm like, "Holy, he's gonna beat this
Yeah,
boy down."
I remember him from Pal Talk days. He's something else, all right.
Yeah, he was on fire for homeboy. All right, so um, let's see here. Okay, so today, what are we doing today? Today, we're going to talk about CAIR. We're not going to be talking about caring. We're going to be talking about the organization called CAIR, which is the Council on American Islamic Relations. And there's a reason why we're doing this. So what I did, and because I have no life, I thought, okay, you have no life. Let's go ahead and do something constructive. And so I put together a slideshow on CAIR. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you why we're going to be talking about CAIR today, and the emphasis behind it. Okay, so let's bring up this slideshow if I can. Oops, somebody just popped in there. Who this is?
Well, I'm sorry, Eric. Before we begin, well, let's just say we do care about CAIR, but no, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or subscribe, share, and like, or share, like, and subscribe. I don't care which order you do it, but smash that like button, subscribe, and share. Thank you very much.
Thanks for mentioning that, Red. What I was gonna, if you go over to the channel, we took all those other videos down for a couple days because we wanted to take some time to review them. We'll put the videos back up. We just wanted to give them a once over because we don't want certain people after what was it last Tuesday that we exposed the imam and his co-religious for erroneously reporting people's YouTube channels for the sole purpose of getting them taken down. They had our sister Connie's channel taken down with false copyright.
The imam answered back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. I mean, let me think about this. How can somebody sit there and moan, complain, and whine about somebody erroneously reporting his YouTube channel, and rightly so? I mean, let's be honest here. Rightly so, for having people make false copyright claims against it, but then turn around and do the same exact thing to somebody else. How can you do that with any shred of intellectual integrity?
Well, you have to be a Muslim.
I guess that would be...
No, it's not just that he's a Muslim. Well, it is that, but it's Connie and his ex-wife that tried to kill him, according to him, and that he did not beat, even though he punched her in the head and the forehead, is also named Connie. So I think Connie triggers him. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
I never considered.
Oh yeah, something about the woman thing. Yeah, that's right.
So he goes after her viciously. You know what I mean? Remember, he's the one that said, sit down in the corner, woman. Yeah, because the name. Name and they both got that Southern Texas drawl accent. So I'm sure he gets really triggered just by the sound of her voice and the sound of her name. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I mean, there's that hate thing. She's now a surrogate for his hatred of his ex-wife. Yeah.
Okay. So. Well, we just want to make sure that we remove whatever low-hanging fruit that might be out there for him. There isn't any, because I always give attribution to people, but
yeah, he might be from Texas, but he's no Texan.
Yeah, he claims to be.
Well, he's a liar. I'm from Texas, and I can tell you, I'm not a Muslim.
Okay.
He don't even wear a cowboy hat. He don't even wear a cowboy hat. Said he never fired a gun, except we know that not to be true. He just doesn't know how to aim. He don't know how to shoot straight. No, I guess he can shoot at tires. So, if he gets up close, yeah. But either way, yeah, he ain't no Texan. But you don't even know how to ride a horse. I'm just saying.
He acts half the time he doesn't know which end is it. Okay, let's get to CAIR, because this is there's a lot to discuss here. some of this stuff, as a matter of fact, one of these slides I got exclusively from our friend Paul. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that. And if it sounds like I'm repeating myself half the time, it probably is. But just bear with me. Okay, here we go. Here is exposing the hate. You like the background? I had Paul Sutliff had a show the other day about what were you discussing, Paul? We were discussing Hurries.
The jihadi idea of heaven.
There you go. Yeah, and I was looking at his background and the template that he has, and I go, man, that looks really good. So I changed my template. It looks just as professional as Paul does now. Okay, so CAIR. This is straight from the CAIR website. This is what they think of themselves. It protects and empowers American Muslims because we do what is necessary. We open the pathway to do what is possible. What does that mean?
Yeah, I was just
we do what is necessary.
It's a statement that they follow Sharia. That's what it is. It's a statement that they will do they're following the Sharia, and that's almost a statement that they are engaged in jihad. It's almost word for word. The necessary is an important component of understanding that.
Oh, I thought it was just kind of like this nicety that they made up in a board meeting one afternoon, saying,
it's an open statement to all of the civilization jihadis out there that they are Sharia compliant and they are the Brotherhood.
Okay.
Just remember that there's nothing civilized about Sharia.
Oh, this is true.
It's the Muslim Brotherhood's term. They call it civilization jihad. So you use their terminology, and we can bring it back and say there's no civilization about Sharia, but let's use their terminology.
It just occurred to me, Paul, I did not put the exploratory memorandum in here. What an egghead. Who can do a show on
I can give you that.
All right. When we get
I'll
to
send
it,
you a slide real quick.
All right. Thank you. What kind of... It's okay, folks. I'm a professional. I got this. Okay, so CAIR. Okay, so when you look at CAIR's website, it says, in 27 years since the founding of CAIR, we have changed policies, shifted narratives, and strived to ensure that every Muslim in America has the reassurance of, if injustices reach your doorstep, CAIR will be there, standing guard. Inshallah. But the fight is not over. Muslims' rights continue to be under attack. We're responding on all fronts, from workplaces to schools to airports that were not set, never mind, to courtrooms. CAIR counts on a national network of supporters who share our mission of establishing justice and spreading mutual understanding. Join us. And then donations are zakat and tax deductible. How sweet. And then they give the option to donate $20, $30, $50, $100, or whatever.
I have a question.
I did not see the one for 30 cents because I was going to make that one. Yes, John, go ahead.
I have a question. They say, CAIR say that they protect American Muslims. From what?
Exactly.
Against who?
Exactly. And what rights? What rights do Muslims have?
And there is a government in the United States. It's elected by the American people. They should protect Muslims, Christians. They should protect the whole community. And it's doing that. Then it looks like racist community, racist organization.
Exactly.
On top of that, CAIR has actually been engaged in lawsuits that they were fighting being exposed as an organization that, believe it or not, punished Muslims for suing them for hiring a fake lawyer.
I remember that.
They had a fake lawyer working for them, and they were being sued over it. And guess who pursued it? The Middle East Forum. And that's where it gets amusing. I mean, the Muslims sought the group. Muslims who wanted to fight CAIR sought out groups that are fighting jihadis.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that. Wasn't it something like in D.C. that they were doing that in, or it doesn't matter where it was, but I remember that. where they were getting sued by their own people because they got some.
And they lost.
And they go, we claim that this guy's a lawyer, and the guy wasn't even a lawyer. He was like a legal aid or something like that. Okay, so CAIR. What is CAIR? I made a list here for what CAIR is, and a lot of these are very kind, because CAIR is a civil rights organization, an immigration services facilitator where they provide services to help people immigrate to our country. They're an advocate for empowering Muslims here today. They're an educational resource for not only Muslims but also Americans on Islam in America. They're a lobbying group. Of course, they are a funder and a sponsor of Islamic terrorism, a family-centered organization, a base for building the faith of Muslims, and a watchdog for Islamophobia. Does that sound about right?
Nail on the head.
Yes. Okay. So I like that you just kind of squeeze in there that one, a funder and sponsor of Islamic terrorism.
Well, hold on. So let's examine some of these. A civil rights organization.
That's what they claim to be.
Well, no. Okay, no. Well, that goes back to the whole thing, protecting Muslim rights. What rights are not being protected under federal law? Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. I mean, do they have special rights that they think that they need? Okay. Like the right to marry more than one woman at one time, the right to, beat their wives. Okay. I mean, are they talking about their Islamic civil rights that are given to them by Allah? Or are they talking about American civil rights? Do you see what I'm saying? I mean,
there's a big difference. Sure.
Okay. So
they will say, I can tell you what they'll say. They will say that they are protecting their religious rights. And in doing that, they are making an open statement that America specifically targets Muslims. And yet they tell the Muslim communities not to talk to the FBI.
Wow, so who was that flew airplanes into the trade center again?
That was some people who did something. Come on, you Islamophobe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, now, that brings me to my next point. The immigration services and facilitators. Okay, sure, there are other groups that do that as well. But who are they? Who are they facilitating to immigrate into this country?
People from Libya, Syria, and
terrorist organizations. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
no, there's no government to go ahead and tell us exactly who's coming through, and
right.
Make sure that the Christians that are in Syria don't get through also.
Exactly. An advocate for empowering Muslims, empowering them to do what exactly? A lot. I mean, education research. But I do want to say one thing. I remember when CAIR came out with that and said, "Do not talk to the FBI." I got to tell you, that is sound advice for anyone in this day and age. I mean, seriously, if the FBI comes to your doors, you say, "Lawyer, I'm sorry, I do not trust that organization anymore." Then I could throw a Muslim across the, room. Seriously, do not trust the FBI at all. And I'm shocked and I'm ashamed that I have to say that, but that is an organization that has gone off the beaten path. They've gone way off the reservation. But that's my sermon on that. Lobbying group. So what are they lobbying? I mean, no, all these
they
things.
they lobby members of Congress. They've been doing that. They just haven't filed any paperwork as a lobbying group like they're required to do. But if they were ever prosecuted for that, then it would be Islamophobia, don't you see? So nobody ever says anything about them lobbying.
Well, your Iwanese just came out of that one, dude. Go ahead.
Actually, they get away with it now through MPAC. So they're using several different organizations. EMPAC is what they're using, and I believe MPAC has filed for a lobbying. So I'll have to double check that, but I believe they have.
What does MPAC stand for? Something Arab? It's
EMPAC. It's their, I believe it's their umbrella organization. I'll have to come back to that. It's been
all right. Something political action committee. Yeah. Okay. Well. All right, and then does anybody disagree with the next one, the funder and sponsor of Islamic terrorism?
Absolutely not, because they do.
Yeah, well,
they were sued as their foundational name for the murder of a child because they paid an organization that killed a child.
Is that the one in St. Louis? Is that the one in St. Louis where the FBI actually recorded it?
Well, that's before. That's when they were IAP.
Okay, right.
We're getting to that, guys. Sued. Slow down. We're getting to these things.
They've also decided that they would. They are They are Hamas here in the United States. So they have been caught financing jihadis. They have been caught repeatedly financing jihadis in their history.
Darn. Okay, a family-centered organization. I just made a lot of these up just to get you guys going. That's I just wanted to squeeze in here the funder. Where's my? There it is. There's my laser. I just wanted to squeeze this part in there. A funder and sponsor of Islamic terrorism. Here you have a civil rights organization, an organization dedicated to better the lives of Muslims in the United States, but at their core, they are
funding terrorism.
Exactly.
Civil rights and terrorism. Wow. What a contrast.
Connie's here. Hello.
Contradiction.
I won't be here long.
Okay. Well,
we're on to Bonnie's house. Yeah. We're going to make cookies, candies.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Family time,
Yeah. Got to do something. Don't make too many of them because somebody's got to eat them. Okay, so why did I bring up this topic today? I mean, why would I want to pick on poor CAIR? CAIR is, doing the righteous work of Allah out there in the United States. Well, here's why. I got an email. I know you're shocked. I got an email, and here's what it said. This is from a guy who calls himself an author and who calls himself an imam. And here's what he said. There is something going on with CAIR that is going to shock you come January. So what I need to do is I need to be very concerned about what's going to happen in January. I have avoided talking about it for the reason that you would never guess. I would never guess because I don't give it much thought, to be honest with you. I don't. But since you made a threat,
you forgot to add Dr. Evil laugh to that.
I'm not very good at that. But it sounds like you got that down pat, Brad. So anytime that I need the Dr. Evil laugh, can I just prompt you?
I'm here for you, brother. I'm here.
Okay, let's practice. Dr. Evil laugh. Okay. You got to be a little more prompt with it.
All right.
Sorry. All right. Okay. Okay. So the bottom line is this right here. There's something going on with CAIR that's going to shock you in January. Now, not that I really care about what goes on with CAIR, but what I do care about is being threatened and kids at the school system being threatened. That is of course a concern of mine. We could consider something like this harassment, and coming from CAIR, that wouldn't be too far-fetched of an idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about where CAIR came from, what they've done. Okay, let's see. Okay, so are we supposed to fear CAIR? Okay, let me get this back up here. Okay, so this is an organization funded by convicted sponsors of terrorism. This is what the organization is. They've been identified as a co-conspirator for supporting terrorism. They're an organization that continues to provide support for terrorism. They're an organization that evidently shares the same support for terrorism that a Houston imam does. We'll talk about that here shortly. And they're an organization that is profoundly anti-Semitic and anti-American. That much I know for sure. So if you look at some of the leaders and founders of CAIR, which we're going to go through here in a minute, and what they've done, even Charles Schumer. Now, he's the Senate Majority Leader now. Now imagine this. The Senate Majority Leader, who's a Democrat, has said that CAIR has ties to terrorism and links with Hamas. Hamas, folks, is a designated terrorist organization, period. And if you have links with a terrorist organization, that means that you're supporting that organization. And if you are dealing with an organization that supports terrorism yourself, that makes you a conspirator for terrorism.
It gets better. In fact, that you're mentioning Schumer, because the person who the president at the time was Bill Clinton. So it is a Democrat who declared Hamas a terrorist entity.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Paul. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, this is even the left side of the aisle has recognized that fact, and there's even an Islamic country, the which one that declared them a terrorist organization? Was it UAE that said not
UAE has declared CAIR a terrorist entity.
CAIR, there you
Saudi
go.
Arabia has declared CAIR a terrorist entity. Egypt, I believe, has declared CAIR a terrorist entity.
Whoa! Well, that's because CAIR was founded by members of Muslim Brotherhood. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfectly good sense now. So it's coming together. I'm glad you guys are here to keep me on the straight path. Or no, that would be to keep me on the right path. The straight path would be kind of Reliance to the Traveler stuff. Okay, so let's look at what happens. Okay, so the organization starts with the Islamic Association for Palestine. That's what it started with, and it was a front organization for Hamas. And what happened is that they basically dissolved it. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Paul, but they were going to be liable for $156 million in damages for aiding and abetting Hamas in the murder of a 17-year-old American citizen. And so what do? They disband this organization, file bankruptcy, don't pay the money, and then they found CAIR. And was it during this meeting where they referred to Hamas, but they said the word backwards? Do you know off the top of your head?
That was while they were under observation, and that part. This is before they before 2004, before they got sued, but it was in the 1990s, or I believe when they got caught.
Okay, this is 93.
Yeah, it was 93 when they got caught with that. It's a pretty humorous. There's transcripts out there. You can go find them at investigativeproject.org, and you can read the whole transcript. It's humorous.
That's Steve Emerson's site, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So let's look at some of their founding members. There we go. Randall Royal. He's communications and civil rights coordinator for them. He's conspiring to help Al Qaeda and the Taliban. And he pleads guilty. And here's the thing. He pleads guilty to a lesser charge and gets 20 years in prison. Now, who gets put in prison for, something simple firearm charge? I could see, if you're discharging the firearms, but the firearm charges are probably selling or maybe possessing firearms, and he gets 20 years. This would be akin to getting put in jail for a year for beating your wife. I mean, nobody gets that unless there's something else there that you've had pleaded down to or pled away. Where there's smoke, there is fire. And this guy is a quintessential example of that. Next guy, Ghassan Elashi, the founder of the Texas chapter. Ooh, I wonder if he knows somebody down there. He's convicted in 2004. Along with his brothers. Look at this. It's a family affair, don't you see? Shipping computers from their Dallas business to Libya and Syria, which were two state sponsors of terrorism. Him and two of his brothers were convicted of knowingly doing business with how do you say that? Moshe Abu Marzouk, a senior
Abu Marzouk.
There you go. And he is a Hamas leader. So these guys are doing business with the Hamas leader. And this is the founder of the Texas chapter, is doing business with a Hamas leader. And he continues to pay, provided more than $12 million to Hamas while running the Holy Land Foundation. This is CAIR. This is their founders.
I wonder if there's a Kenny connection. You know what I mean?
Well, Rad, if somebody could dig that up, I
might have to get on that.
And if he's threatening that he's going to bring CAIR to the school, to your school, then there is a connection, right?
Former school, but that's.
You're right. Yeah. Well, that's the point. That Kenny claims he's bringing CAIR with him. There's a connection.
This is why I wanted to do today's show, because I just want to share it with the couple paisanos down there to let them know that, hey, you're contacted by CAIR. Well, this is who CAIR is right here. Consider your sources, guys. Okay, so back to here. Basham, did we do this guy? Bassem Khafegi. Is that how you pronounce that? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Then I must be right. He's their community relations director. It sounds like a community organizer, but he's the community relations director. Pleads guilty to lying on his visa applicant. Now, everybody lies, right? He just happened to get caught. And for passing bad checks. You can't get arrested for bad checks. But anyway.
And a substantial amount. No, he was doing 10 grand a pop.
Okay, well, he gets deported. I hope they send him. Have you guys ever seen? I hate to bring this up. This is kind of funny, but there was a Michael Keaton movie made a long time ago called Johnny Dangerously. Has anybody ever seen this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now the villain there, Ruben Mulroney, was supposed to be from someplace, and he ends up getting deported, but they deported him to the wrong country. I'm thinking they were going to deport this poor guy to the wrong country. I'm not from that foreign country. Don't send me back there. Okay. He was a founding member of the Islamic Assembly. What is this? This isn't ICNA. Okay. An organization under investigation by the Department of Justice for terrorism. I'm so shocked that this organization is under investigation also for terrorist-related activities. How about this guy, Ribin Haddad, a fundraiser arrested on terrorism charges and deported from the United States due to his subsequent work on a global relief foundation. Now, this sounds that sounds like a great organization. The Global Relief Foundation, a charity, was designated by the U.S. President as finance Al-Qaeda and other terrorism. Looking at these guys and this web that they're in, you come away from this just feeling nasty. Everything that they've touched, everything that these guys are dealing with, it's somehow tied to terrorism and funneling money to these terrorist organizations.
Notice too, and this was it's still being done. Okay, but notice the keywords there: charity, like a Water Wells Foundation. Okay, that the wells cost like $1,000 a pop. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we know, Eric. Remember when we helped out that woman in Nigeria, the orphanage, with her water well problem? What it was, $150? You know what I mean? Yeah, if that. But no. So these water wells are apparently costing $1,000. Come on, is that money being funneled someplace else? And Kenny might not even know about it. You know what I mean? He's just sending the money there, and they're putting the well together for a couple $100, and the rest of the money is either going into their pockets or going out to funnel money someplace else. I'm not saying he's guilty of openly supporting a terrorist organization, like CAIR, but I am saying this: he doesn't know where this money's going for, and I'm sorry, the wells do not cost that much, dude.
Let's just be completely honest about this. When you start building buildings, doing construction in some of these third world countries, $1,000 is a ton of money. It really is. I mean, we think of $1,000. You might be able to lay a concrete slab or something, or I don't know. But that is a lot of money. And to drill a water well where the water table is 20 feet down, come on. You're absolutely right. It may cost $1,000, and he may be sending, in the heart. God knows, the heart's in the right place. What they do with the money, that's on them. You're probably right. He should be looking into where that money is.
I know I would. I'm just saying, dude. But, or maybe the FBI should be looking into that. I'm just saying. Maybe they should.
One of the things you said, Eric, is you feel dirty after looking at this organization. The Muslim Brotherhood as a whole makes you feel dirty. So I'm going to offer right now, if anybody's interested in a PDF from my early research, it has it's a map of all the connections of the Muslim Brotherhood organizations, some of the mosques that I found that were listed and organized. This is just it's the tip of the iceberg. It's not the end all be all, but it's a huge PDF. and it takes something to print it off. So if you're interested, my email is BEREAN_research@yahoo.com. And just what you want to do is just write a request for the Muslim Brotherhood diagram. That's all you have to do. And you'll find it's huge.
What was
It's
the
huge.
email address again?
I'm going to post it in the chat here. Just give me a second here.
I'll write it in there for you.
Where are you, Paul?
I just got to get there.
Well,
all right, I'll put it in.
All right, I didn't get to it soon enough. I didn't have my email up. Okay, where were we? We were talking about feeling icky and unclean because of having to deal with this. All right, so they're financing Al Qaeda and other terrorists, and that's not shocking. Also founding member, executive director, also founding. Golly, it's sick. Okay, and then of course Siraj Wahhaj, advisory member named in 1990 by U.S. attorney as a possible unindicted co-conspirator for blowing up New York City landmarks and helping the blind sheikh Muammar Abdul Rahman in the the World Trade Center bombing in 1990.
That's the first. Yes, that's the first bombing. Yeah, he was a character witness for the blind sheikh.
There you go. Now this is CAIR's Man of the Year. I think it was this year. I went in and I did a check. I didn't really care what year it was, but the fact is, CAIR names this guy. He's an unindicted co-conspirator in blowing up the World Trade Center as Man of the Year. What? It gets better, because evidently Siraj Wahhaj is not all that in a bag of chips when it comes to being a good daddy. Let's see. It turns out the man arrested for running a Muslim terrorist training compound. This is his son. His son. Oh, do I have? Let me see if I got this right here. Doggone it. I got this. Okay, hold on, folks. Let me fix this, because this was supposed to be the last one that came out here, and I messed it up, and we won't be able to see it if I don't get this straight. Let's see here. So let's delete this. Delete. There we go. Delete. Okay, so we're going to make this fly-in, make this a fly-in number 2. Okay, so let me see if I can get it right now. I'm sorry, I had to. No. Still not working. Why is that? Okay, well, let me just do. Let me just show you a picture of this training camp. Let me undo this. Okay, this training camp that his son is running. Can you guys see that? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
let me just make this small. Okay, we'll get this straightened out. Okay, so as you can see, whoops, go back. Okay, so you can see this is his son, and 2 of his daughters are involved in this. And what got people involved in this was that they had 11 kids out there, and it was just living in absolute squalid conditions. Now look at this thing. I mean, you got nothing but tires out here. What is this, like a shoot house or something, or used for a perimeter? I don't even know. But when we look at this, hold on, let's go back. There we go. I'm going to put this back up here so we can all read the article and what the article says, because this is just absolutely appalling. Okay, so his dad is implicated in, or Siraj Wahhaj is implicated in the World Trade Center bombing. And when they went out there to arrest this guy, they find 11 hungry, filthy children. He's charged with felony child abuse and reportedly training children to commit school shootings, for Pete's sake. And then they find the remains of a 3-year-old disabled boy. Why the disabled? This is his son. This is Siraj Wahhaj's grandson. They find he was mentally disabled, and they let him die. 2 of his sisters are out there with them as accomplices in these filthy, squalid conditions for these poor children. Now, the thing is that he'd been on the radar for counterterrorism officials for 13 years on suspicion of jihadist activities. But look at right here. This is the part that I want you to take a look at. Timid FBI officials. And Rad, you hit the nail on the head. The FBI has become so compromised that they when something like this breaks, they know what's going on, and they still don't do anything. Because why? A fear of being accused of so-called Islamophobia. And look at here. Wahaj's father is a member of CAIR's National Board of Advisors. So you have an FBI that's afraid to do its doggone job. Why? Because, well, they might be called little names. And this is why when people say, oh, you're nothing but Islamophobe, you might be an Islamophobe if. Stick it. Okay? Everybody is an Islamophobe that doesn't kiss your ass. That's the problem.
You can go ahead and call me an Islamophobe. I don't care.
Hey, Eric, who was president during that time?
When this happened, Trump was president. Is that what you're asking?
No, when before Trump, because apparently you're saying for 13 years the FBI did nothing because of Islamophobe, and I believe that started under Bush and then definitely exploded under Obama. That's why he took out all the stuff. And you remember, I think they killed Phil Haney, who was the whistleblower, who wrote the book "See Something, Say Something."
Right. Exactly right. Yeah, he actually said, look, if I commit suicide, don't believe it. What did he do? Well, he committed suicide. Oops, John, I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah, he committed suicide. Go figure. Okay, so let's get back to this. So when we look at the Siraj Wahaj, oops, let me get this off here. I don't want you guys to be able to. Mamma mia. Okay. Siraj Wahaj. He's a member of their National Board of Advisors. Here is a guy who's an unindicted co-conspirator with the 1993 bombings of the World Trade Center. And his son, didn't learn it from daddy. Of course not. You wouldn't learn jihadist activity and get those ideas from dad. Now, would you? Well, what about your sisters? Would they be in on that too? Gee, that's a shocker. So this is what the type of organization CAIR is and their National Board of Directors. This is the character of these people. Okay. And then we talked about this where the co-conspirators and the Holy Land Foundation, where they're funneling $12 million to Hamas. And then let's see, this was the largest successful terror financing prosecution in history. And it named CAIR as an unindicted co-conspirator. So here you have CAIR, a civil rights organization, don't you see, laundering money for Hamas, funneling money to Hamas, a designated terror organization. So you're going to threaten people with, oh, well, I'm going to get CAIR. You wouldn't believe what CAIR has. Well, you know what? If CAIR has anything on me, I'm thinking they probably have gone in and done maybe some facial recognition stuff, with national databases illegally to figure out who I really am. That's what I'm thinking. So you just better hope. Nobody gives me a call. Just saying. All right. And let's see. They continue to support terrorism. Let's see. The National Board Chairman Parvaz Ahmed described the terror organizations Hamas and Hezbollah as this is how their chairman describes Hamas and the Hamas holes, yes, and Hezbollah, part of the political process in their societies, don't you see? Just like the Irish Republican Army as Irish nationalist terror group was part of the political process in their societies. Yes, this is where they would launch hundreds of missiles into Jewish lands, people who had just fled the Holocaust, where 6 million of them had died. Boy, there's a real great moral equivalent there, ain't there? And then 2004, Al Jazeera, about the U.S. state of Hamas foreign test organization, Nihad Awad, said, we do not and will not condemn any liberation movement inside Palestine and Lebanon. So they will not condemn Hamas or the Hezbollahs.
Can somebody tell me where Palestine is? I can't find it on a map anywhere.
It's south of New Jersey.
Yeah.
It's not on the map.
There was a textbook that was being.
There's a Palestine taxes.
Oh, there's a. If you looked at Rashida Tlaib, they had a picture of her in her office, and behind her was a map, and the map was a map of Israel, but it didn't have Israel on it. That's an elected congressman, congresswoman, or Congress it, depending on what type of pronoun that she uses. I would call her an it. Okay, so
how about an adulterous, incestuous woman?
That's Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ilhan. Yes. Somebody brought that up the other day too, about investigating her marriage to her brother. Was that Trump that did that? Maybe somebody ought to look into that over there at the FBI.
No, they brought it up in the House of Congress. I can't remember which congresswoman did, and she mentioned her love affair with her brother to get her brother here into the country. And the question was, I mean, is bigamy illegal or not? Because she never got arrested for it.
She said no. Actually, she said Ilhan Omar, who gave $3 million to her husband, not her brother husband, but the other husband.
That's word for word.
I love that woman.
Awesome. She did what now? She gave $3 million to who?
Yeah, so what happened was Ilhan Omar, okay, she did marry her brother. I mean, it looks pretty legit, to get him into the country, okay? Now, I don't think anybody's saying that she said she was a fair or anything like that, okay? But she did commit immigration fraud.
That's the key part. It was immigration fraud.
Right.
And then she married by CAIR, too, to be honest with you.
Then she married some other dude, and she did have 2 or 3 kids with this dude. Well, while she was still married to this kid, as far as we know, he hasn't reverted to Islam. She sparks up a love affair with her campaign manager, who's a kafir. Okay.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any evidence that he reverted to Islam. But either way, she has a love affair with him while she's still married to her other husband, not her brother husband, but another husband. And then because he's the campaign manager, she funnels $3 million of her campaign finances to his consulting company. Then marries him. Come on, man. That's just rubbing it in your face. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but nobody's investigating because they would be called Islamophobes. You know, either that or the FBI's going to take. Either way, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna bring up the fact that she's laundering money through her campaign to her. Did she marry this guy, or it doesn't matter? We're getting off topic.
Yeah, she married a dude, and they were also spotted at several riots in Minneapolis over George Floyd, smiling gleefully at the destruction that was being done. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's par for the course. We'd expect her to be there. I mean, that's. And okay, I'm going to get off topic here. So let's get back to this. All right, so let's see here, and we got the troll back in here. Trustworthy troll, thank you for coming. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Man, you are brilliant. I wish I would have come up with something like that. Okay, let's see here. Ibrahim Hooper says, I wouldn't want to create the impression that I wouldn't like the government of the United States to be Islamic sometime in the future. That is the CAIR spokesman. Ishan Bagby, future CAIR board member, stated that, referring to the United States, because there is no way we can be fully committed to the institutions and the ideologies of this country. That's wonderful. Move. And then, of course, Omar Ahmed, CAIR's chairman. Islam isn't in America to be equal with any other faith, but to become dominant. The Quran should be the highest authority in America, and Islam the only accepted religion on earth. Now, that would be a direct...
Which one of the 100?
Yeah, which Quran should be the dominant? Should be the dominant, the highest authority, and this would supersede This, I mean, a statement like this. I mean, this statement right here. This is actually a treasonous statement. It really is, especially coming from the chairman of this organization, saying that it's become dominant and should be the highest authority in America, saying the Quran should be the highest authority. Well, that would then negate the supremacy clause in the Constitution, where the Constitution is supposed to be the supreme law of the land, not the Bible, not the Rig Veda, not the Quran, but the Constitution is supposed to be the highest authority in the land. But of course, Omar Ahmad, I'm sure, is not interested in the United States Constitution. He's only interested in the Sharia. Okay, CAIR and its acolytes. Does anybody have anything they wanted to add to that? Anything? Any comment?
Well, there's one thing I wanted to add. I'm sorry, real quickly here on the whole. I was out smoking. Even though the Chantex is taking effect and I get no pleasure from it, I'm still smoking. Tell me why.
You need to drop it, dude. You need to drop it now.
Okay. But anyway, I just wanted to add, you mentioned that the FBI didn't investigate that dude because they were afraid of being called Islamophobe. What about that Nadal dude, the psychologist, the U.S. Army psychologist that killed 13 or 14 U.S. soldiers?
Yeah, that's exactly.
And they have documented reports of emails and memos of internal things saying this dude's nuts. And the response was, well, if we report him, we'll be labeled Islamophobes. And that was definitely under Obama.
Oh, what did he have on?
He was investigated by multiple agencies. So
yeah,
it's fair to say that the Army agency, there was there's large number of agencies, and everyone was afraid to stand up and label him. See, this is the biggest problem we have in this country. This label terrorist. It doesn't belong. We should not be using that word. We should be using.
I agree.
Treason.
I agree.
We should be using treason. These are treasonous bastards. Okay, treason has a penalty they're all afraid to inflict: death. I'm sorry, I have no problem with a treasonous bastard having their penalty. And until we get rid of the terrorism clause, you generally only get 20 years or less. So what's happened, we're in the middle of this right now, if you're not aware, but we have about 100 people that are going to be released within the next few years, if they haven't been already. Because they only serve, in general, these people who are serving 20 years for terrorism get out in half the amount of time due to good behavior.
Or COVID.
Yes, it's called prison. It's called prison behavior.
Well, okay, so, hold on. I just want to add to that. No, I agree with that, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but the whole war on terror thing, that is just stupid. I mean, terror is a weapon. Terror is it's like, I'm going to go to war against the Panzer tank. No, we went to war against the German people or the Nazi people, or however you want to phrase it, okay? But we went to war against the government of Nazi Germany. We did not go to war against their tactics. We did not go to war against the Panzer tank. We did not go to war against the instruments of war that they were using against us, okay? And here's another thing that a lot of people don't understand. If they label something as an act of terror, and your business gets destroyed, you're screwed. Because unless you have terrorist writer or terrorism writer on your insurance policy, you don't get reimbursed for that. Seriously, it's like flood insurance. You actually have to have a terrorism writer on your insurance policy to be covered for it. Okay, I mean it's totally ridiculous. But so. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. But yeah, these dudes have to be executed. They have to either that or get total full life in a supermax prison where their only human contact is with robots. Yeah, I agree with that. That's cool.
Because you're talking about like the Muslim Brotherhood, because it was Obama that brought that in Egypt, like pulled the Muslim Brotherhood out from nowhere. Like no one had heard of the Muslim Brotherhood until like Obama, I think it was his Cairo speech, kind of pulled him out of nowhere.
He was in office for 4 months, and he makes this speech, and the whole thing blows up in his face.
The Muslim Brotherhood was well known, documented here for many, many years. Since the 1960s, it's been documented here. Not well known as far as the community, The vast majority of those who came into the United States, who ran the Muslim Brotherhood, came in through Canada. Thank you, Canada. Because they couldn't get into this country legally. So they went and became Canadian citizens, then came here.
Well, what I was going to say with the Muslim Brotherhood was outlawed in Egypt, and by giving that speech in Cairo, Obama lended credibility to them, and this allowed them to come back. And this is why we got what was the guy that replaced Mubarak? Who was that guy? They sent him to jail.
Sisi or
Sisi's not in jail.
Morsi.
Yeah,
he died in jail.
Morsi.
He died.
Yeah, and when they removed Dr. Morsi, the Rose Al Youssef threatened. They claimed they had Barack Obama's Muslim Brotherhood inauguration papers, and they threatened to out them. But they did also out, I think it was 8. I can't remember. It's in my book, but I think it was 5 other people in the Obama administration who were well-known members of the Muslim Brotherhood. They're documented in my second book, Civilization, Jihad, and the Myth of Modern Islam.
Yeah.
Well, we got
a Muslim.
We got to talk about this Morsi dude. Yeah, we got to talk about this Morsi dude. He died in court. Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Go ahead.
This is John's backyard. So, John, go ahead and explain that to us. Who he is.
Muslim Brotherhood is an Egyptian organization since 1928. And all what they want that they jump on the share in Egypt to apply Sharia law or Sharia in Egypt, and they tried that many times to kill the president Jamal Abdel Nasser before in 1954 in Alexandria, and after Mubarak was kicked out from the Egyptian revolution in 2011. They became they have someone who's Muhammad Morsi was the president, and his actions were not accepted by majority of Egyptians. This is why after 1 year there's another revolution against him and he was kicked out.
Okay, how long? Say that again. How long was he in?
1 year.
Only 1 year. Only 1 year.
He started to implement Sharia.
Right. Didn't he try to change the constitution or something? That was like the last straw.
He did. He changed the constitution. The first thing, he changed something in the first item of the constitution. He put that Sharia law is the basic or the major source of laws in Egypt. It was not like that before.
So this is what we would call an overreach, a drastic overreach. You know, if he would have gone slower, it might have worked for him. But
here's kind of the funny thing with this. Well, one, he gave an interview with Barbara Wawa, I think, or one of the 2020 or ABC liberal people gave an interview, and he's talking to him, and he's like, people are afraid that we're just going to institute Sharia law right away. But no, we're not going to do that. For instance, the punishment of chopping out the hand of a thief, we're not going to do that right away. We're going to give a 5-year education process where we educate you on the implications of stealing, and getting your hand chopped off. Okay. So no, he's fully admitting it, that this is what they're going to do. But here's the thing that I find most ironic, and John, I'm sure you agree with me. I don't know if you mentioned this. But John, dude, the day this Morsi was arrested and arraigned in court was the very day that Mubarak was being released from court. It's okay, we're going to swap you out. And this Morsi dude, I'm just reading, I did not know this. He died actually in court.
The problem with Morsi, he gave permission to all people coming from Afghanistan or Pakistan that go doing jihad there against United States of America and Afghanistan to return back to Sinai. Then we have now in Sinai Islamic State, ISIS there, till now, and after they removed or they kicked out this Morsi, he was in the court against these claims. There's accusations that he did that to control Egypt by his friends, his friends from Afghanistan or Pakistan, Mujahideen.
And they're there, and they're still there today. Yeah.
Yeah, till now.
This is why I honestly say he was actually democratically elected. Okay, the people of Egypt, they voted for him, and then all of a sudden, when it came clear that this is what he was going to do, okay, all of a sudden these lefty Egyptian liberals that voted for the dude and campaigned for the dude were like, no, we don't want him. We got to go to the military. So this is my point. In Islamic dominated controlled countries, you only have two options. Okay, one, if you give them democracy, give them the right to vote, they'll vote for Islam. They don't know what it is. They don't know what Sharia law is. Because no matter what, when you talk to Muslims as much as I have and others in this room, you will notice one thing: Sharia law has never been fully implemented, and nobody knows what Sharia law is. Okay, that's pretty much the common thing. But they all want the Sharia law, huh? I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask you that. The question is, what even is Sharia law? There's many Sharia laws.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
There's one laws. It just depends on who you ask. I can give you hundreds of Shia Sharia laws.
Exactly.
I can give you hundreds of Sunni Sharia laws. And it's like there's no consistent thing. It's whoever the arbiter is. This is why I'm going to hype up America for a second. But I would say this is why it's good that we have separation between the church and the state, or the mosque and masjid and the state, or the synagogue. Your religion is a personal thing. That's between you and God. This is not between you. You don't want a state controlling it, because the state can say whatever they want, and then you have a theocracy, which is extremely dangerous. This is why we don't want theocracies. I definitely don't want a Sharia government. I don't want a caliphate. I don't want any of that. We don't want those things. We don't want a pope controlling the government. We don't want some pastor controlling it, because it's going to be their interpretation of the faith. We don't want that. It's insane.
Exactly. That's entirely the point. They don't know what it is, but they all want it. Until they get it, then they don't want it. And in some cases, once they get it, it's actually too late. But no, so that's one alternative. The other alternative is you got to have a strongman. You got to have a military strongman who will provide electricity to the people, educate the people. Now, true, him and his sons might be murderers and butchers, but that's your best option. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about Saddam Hussein, who I hate with a passion. But I'm just saying, I mean, you look at under him, except he was totally stupid, and he wasted and squandered his government resources on a foolish war with Iran, which we supported because we hated Iranians at the time, and we kind of still do for what they did. But that's beside the point. I'm just saying, that's your only two options. Or if you get a third option, which is a weak, ineffectual government like they had in Afghanistan that is dependent upon the United States of America, the kuffar, then you're just going to get the nutcases to come back again, okay? Or the true followers of Islam to implement their version of Sharia law. Those are your options when it comes to this. And I see no other way around this except, you know what? We got to install brutal dictators in those countries just to give these people peace. You know what I mean? Seriously. I know it sounds crazy, but, I'll give you one more example, and I'll leave it at that. There's a great movie on there, The First Emperor of China. This dude was a brutal dude. I mean, no, he's the one who started the Great Wall. No, this dude, Emperor Wu, he was a butcher and a tyrant, obsessed with the paranormal, obsessed with longevity, with eternal life. I mean, he was insane. But one thing he did do, because he was so brutal, he did unite China. And he brought in all kinds of things: education, writing, artwork. I mean, seriously, he really did reform the country because he was so brutal and he could control the populace. But he was also insane, or went insane later in life. But this is your only hope for people who do not have a constitutional republic democracy, or who don't want it, or who just reject it. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but that's the only alternatives. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox, done with my rant.
Oh, we appreciate you. Hassan's wife accused him of abuse, left him, and started a GoFundMe campaign for assistance for the kids of herself. Which Hassan are you talking about there, Nim? Are you talking about Nidal Hassan, the psychiatrist, the army psychiatrist, or somebody else? Maybe I missed something there. I did want to show you guys something. Now, remember what Nidal Hassan called himself. He even put it on his business card. And I pulled up his business card right here. Notice what it says look what it says right there. SOA. What does that mean?
I don't know. Special operations, SWAT is SWT is whatever.
It's Soldier of
Allah.
Soldier of Allah is what he called himself.
Soldier of Allah. Where have we heard that someplace before?
Oh, he's a mujahid too?
He's a mujahid. Actually, he's a mujahid in Texas that actually did do some mujahid stuff.
He did the Muji stuff, man.
Yeah.
Doing the Muji shuffle.
Yeah, he was best friends with Anwar al-Awlaki. They communicated daily. So there's a whole bunch there, and this is where he constantly was getting flagged. The FBI, NSA, everybody knew about it. The question is, why didn't they do their jobs? Again, they were too. I don't think fearful is the right way to put it after 9/11. I'm sorry. I think they were too cowardly to do what was right.
Inconfident. Yeah. Or someone, you know what, honestly, I'm not conspiracy enough, but welcome to 2021. But maybe someone at the higher levels where this stuff gets passed on said, no, we want him to do something, so we're going to ignore it. You know what I mean? And that person later retired, became a CNN commentator. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, seriously. I mean, no. I mean, why not? I mean, you want, as long as... I'm sorry, I'm getting conspiracy stuff, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Except there is no conspiracy, yes. Well, the conspiracy is there is no conspiracy.
That's right. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to continue this. We got off on a rant there, and that's fine. I mean, people probably enjoy that because they don't want to sit here and listen to me run my yip. But let's see here. So we were talking about CAIR and its acolytes, people who have the same hatred for Israel, people who support Hamas, people who support Hezbollah, people who support that type of activity. And we did a show on this. Let me see here. And we have his own words of him admitting this. Let me go ahead and make this a full screen here. Let me see if you can hear this. Tell me if you can hear this. Decide for yourself.
And yes, shooting rockets into another country without regard. Yes, let me tell you why it's justified. Okay, Eric Smith.
So here you have, on his own show, Kenny admits that shooting rockets into another country indiscriminately. As a matter of fact, they were shooting them into the most highly populated, densely populated place on the planet. And he thinks that's okay. If that's a way to fight, then that's what they're going to do. So committing acts of terrorism is okay, according to this guy. Go ahead.
If they started shooting rockets at Kenny's house, he maybe have a different opinion on that kind of. If they started shooting rockets at his own house, they kind of would. I think he would detract from that statement,
Well, if they were shooting them across the border, this would be a great analogy. Thank you for saying that, Dominic. This would be a great analogy. The whole impetus of this Palestinian conflict is that Israel stole their land. Israel came in and now is occupied. Forget the fact that Israel has a 2,000, 3,000 year history to that land. Forget the fact that they were removed off the land themselves. Forget the fact that they didn't have any place to go during the Holocaust, where 6 million of them were slaughtered. Forget all of that. Forget the fact that they were immigrating to that land prior to 1948, buying up all this land there. Forget all of these things. Let's just pretend that Palestine existed prior to that. It was not part of the Ottoman Empire. It wasn't part of the British man. Let's just pretend that it did. And now they want their land back. So they're firing rockets at these people who occupied that land. Dominic, you are absolutely correct. Because where in the Hades did the United States get Texas from?
Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, so Eric, one of the things we need to ask in this, since Palestine is not a country and it's basically an imaginary land. One of the things I taught my students for 20 years is, what is the definition of Palestine? Land of the Philistines.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and who gave them that name? Who put that name there? It is the Romans who are trying to insult the Jews. So when I meet a person who claims to be Muslim from Palestine, I ask them if they're Jewish. They get all offended. And I ask them if they're Jewish because, you know that name came from Romans who are trying to insult Jews. Are you now claiming to be Jewish? They don't like that.
No, yeah, I can see exactly why too, and that's a great point. So, are you Jewish or something? You're Palestinian? Oh, I didn't know you were Jewish. Congratulations!
It's amazing how often they
Mazel tov.
contradict themselves. Just totally amazing how they contradict themselves.
Oh, you want to have more fun? Ask them to pronounce it if they're from there because they can't.
Why would you say that? What do you mean?
They'll pronounce it with an F sound instead of a P.
Why? I don't understand. Salistines? What do you? I don't know. I'm not following. It's going over my head. Maybe I'm not in on this.
Say it a little faster with an F where you put the P, and you'll have a good laugh.
Okay, I'll write it down, and I have to have a graphic. Anyway. Okay, so but the point that I was making here with Dominic's analogy is that if we are truly going to say, okay, well, that land belonged to them and it was taken away from them, we could just say as equitably as the Texans during the Texas Revolution took that away from Mexico, and then the Texans became part of, annexed by the United States, and then when Mexico got all butthurt over losing their land, oh, this is just so perfect because they did attack Texas, or did attack the United States, and in the process we went to war, and what did we do? Well, we just took the entire southwest region from them. So that would just be akin to saying, well, the southwest region of the United States really belongs to Mexico because that land was taken from them illegitimately. It's ill-begotten land. So what I'd like to see the imam do is pack his crap and move to Chicago,
Palestine,
Afghanistan.
No. He don't come to Chirac. No.
Well, you could take him out to dinner up there, couldn't you, Rad? Maybe not.
I got a few streets I could drop him off at.
So that part right there,
That's a good idea. Yeah, there you go.
Take him out to one of those fancy Polish restaurants that you guys have up there. I was looking at that. It doesn't matter. All right, let's get back to this. All right. I'm sorry. Did you guys have anything else to say? I'm sitting there trying to Philistine. What is that? Is that what it? Philistine. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, now I get it. Nim, please show this article.
That article that she's trying to show is actually mentioned in an article that I posted in the chat room. I wrote an article on Hassan Shibli and Muta, purveyor of temporary marriage, back in this past back in April. He ended up with a divorce and separating from his wife because of his many temporary marriage engagements. Muta. He was engaging in Muta constantly.
And well, it wasn't him and Nadir Ahmed were doing it. Now, this is the guy that's the CAIR director in Florida?
This is Hassan Shibli.
Okay.
I do mention that particular NPR article in the. I'll put the link one more time in the chat room. Because I did a little bit more research than they did, and they don't know what Muta is the other part. So NPR has no knowledge of Muta, and that's sad. And they think they can talk about something when they have no knowledge. This is where I get concerned about organizations like NPR.
Most of them don't know the difference between the Hijra and the Hajj. That's a common question when somebody starts saying, "Oh, you're an Islamophobe." Well, tell me what the difference between the Hijra and the Hajj is, and then maybe you can tell me that I'm an Islamophobe. Most of them can't do it. Of course, yet you were. Who is the Muta marriage counselor? Who is this? Well, it's got to be one of you guys. This is you guys. This is you guys are bad.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh, that is funny.
Aisha
Oh.
bint Abu Bakr.
Oh, that's just mean. Okay, so here's some more stuff. Let's see. Here's some more stuff about CAIR. Let's see here. Council of CAIR, formerly an Islamic Association of Palestine, sued for its funding. Was ordered to pay 156 million. Closed. CAIR started. Oh, this is Paul's. Oh, this was Paul's slide. Thank you for sending me this, Paul. And he goes through here. Just he does his a lot. This is the Cliff Notes part of it. And then all this stuff is from Stephen Emerson. If you go over to the Investigated Project, he has done an extensive amount of work on CAIR. So if you ever want to go to a source and what is this? It is funny, Muta counselor. It's not funny. It is funny. It's okay. Let's see here. What is all this? Did I miss something here? Oh, is this the
so
kid that was killed?
David Boheme is the reason why that's what his picture is there. David Boheme is the person who was murdered by Hamas that CAIR got caught financing. Sorry, not CAIR, but if you look at IAP, they got caught financing, paying Hamas. Sorry, and Hamas. This is when they were IAP. So IAP reorganized and became CAIR. Hit tab again, and I think the next piece will come up.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
okay, now take a look at this brings up another topic about CAIR and Muslim Brotherhood organizations. They have what is called incestuous relationships. Muslim Brotherhood entities, you'll have one person who is a president of one organization be the vice president of another organization, be the secretary of another organization. So when you're talking about any Muslim Brotherhood entity, you're talking about incestuous relationships, and that has to do with who leads the organization.
And this is just going into the closet and changing clothes and coming out with a different pair of clothes is all they did. Just
correct.
Okay. And but this does a really good job of illustrating that. Yeah, thank you for that, because you see the president, the vice president. There you go. Okay, so let's look at Hamas. Is this the established media shows the true CAIR is an unindicted co-conspirator in Hamas verifying case. Officials have repeatedly refused to. This is CAIR. Okay, this is off of Robert Spencer's article yesterday, 2 days ago. I read this. CAIR's officials have repeatedly refused to denounce Hamas. Several former CAIR officials have been convicted of various crimes related to jihad terror. Its co-founder and longtime board member, Omar Ahmad, as well as its chief spokesman, have made Islamic supremacist statements about how Islamic law should be imposed in the United States. We've covered that so far. Distribute pamphlets telling Muslims not to cooperate with law enforcement. We're going to cover that here in a minute. CAIR has opposed virtually every anti-terror measure and has declared a terrorist organization by the United Arab, and has been declared a terrorist organization by the United Arab Emirates. And you're also saying, Paul, Saudi Arabia declares them a terrorist organization?
I believe Saudi Arabia, UAE, and what's the other one? There's one other. I can't think of it right now. CAIR is blacklisted by a lot of countries for that reason. Anyone who engages with the Muslim World League is banned by a lot of organizations. CAIR, again, a lot of countries. Muslim World League is one of the Muslim Brotherhood's well-known organizations. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this keeps going. There's just so much.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Oh, and this is a pamphlet. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask. Well, yeah, read that, and then I have the other slides up if you're interested that you were looking for.
Okay. Yeah. Here's a pamphlet that they CAIR passed out. Don't talk to the FBI. Do everything you can to impede any investigation that might involve terrorist activities, to include their own that. Is this? You have 3 days if you okay. And once they, as a matter of fact, this got so publicized that they had to take this down in California. The California chapter of CAIR had to finally take this down. But this is what this is what their organization does.
Well,
it's anti-American and keeps anybody from ever second guessing or even trying to guess whether or not a Muslim might be guilty of terrorism or not.
The FBI chapter in California, San Francisco, LA area was caught being friendly with CAIR. And they almost, I mean, whoever it was got severely spanked, and that's about it, unfortunately, because it had already become a federal issue already. The federal government had said you cannot have a relationship with an organization that has links to terrorism. And it was so the FBI group out there in California got in a lot of trouble, but unfortunately it wasn't much more than a spanking. I could share this other part in the explanatory memorandum if you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead. We got a lot of people. This would be a good time to, if you like the show, go ahead and hit like, share, subscribe, hit that bell thingy on the YouTube. Those other videos that we've had will be coming up. I think we have over 250 videos. I'm not exactly sure how many videos we have, but just well over. Well, maybe not that many. Doesn't matter. They're going to be back up real soon. Okay, let's put this up for Paul. Let's see here. Where did it go? Paul, where did you go?
Just a second. I'm sorry. I thought I messed something up. So let me try it again.
No, let me remove stop screen share for me, and then I'll put yours up. There we go. All right.
So this comes from a presentation I was doing when I was traveling the country. I would love to do it again, and talking about the dangers of the Muslim Brotherhood. On May 22nd, 1991, the Muslim Brotherhood in North America published an explanatory memorandum on the general strategic goal for the group. This documentary could not be discovered by the United States government until 13 years later in 2004, and would not be shared with the public until 2007. So what happened is in 2004, a Maryland transit officer observed a woman in a burqa taking pictures of the support structure for the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
We see that every day.
Okay.
Islamophobe.
The officer, sorry, and I went too far. Sorry about that. And when you go the wrong direction, all right. The officer, here we go. Sorry about that. The officer watched as she got out in a car with a man who was driving. The officer considered the behavior suspicious and did a standard traffic stop. Ismail El-Brace, the woman's husband, handed his ID to the officer, who verified the information. A flag came up on El-Brace as he was wanted by the FBI for questioning. So this pulling over this guy and this seeing everything that they saw provided enough evidence to get a search warrant for his house. Federal officers discovered a hidden sub-basement. So under his basement, they had dug out another basement. You think about the foundation of that place, and it's hidden, and they found 93 bankers' boxes down there. Amongst them, one of the documents that was brought in to the trial in the Holy Land Foundation trial was this document called the Explanatory Memorandum. That's Ismail El-Brace. It was written in Arabic. You can see the government in 1991. Here's the big thing, this big paragraph. This one paragraph says it all. This is where you get the term civilization jihad. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan must understand, Ikhwan is brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Without this level of understanding, we're not up to this challenge and have not prepared ourselves for jihad yet. It is a Muslim's destiny to perform jihad and work wherever he is and wherever he lands until the final hour comes. And there is no escape from that destiny. except for those who choose to slack. But would the slackers and the mujahideen be equal? And and here's my comment on this, and I'll leave with this slide. End this slide. The Muslim Brotherhood has learned from Sun Tzu. Basically, Sun Tzu said the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The Muslim Brotherhood civilization jihad is modeled on these very words. America has an enemy that wishes to destroy it without lifting a finger in an act of aggression. All right.
Amen.
And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, Muslims should have never been allowed in Western civilization, especially in the United States, because it goes against the supreme law of the country. The Constitution, Article 6, says if a group has any intentions of overthrowing the government, which we know Muslims do, because it's in their books, they should never be allowed, and they should definitely never be allowed to hold any office.
Yeah. And on top of that, you can tell that this guy watched Back to the Future.
Yeah, I like Back to the Future.
That one went over my head too. Why is that?
Okay. Well, let's see. But would the slackers and the mujahideen be equal?
Slackers.
Oh, okay.
Slackers. Come on, man.
Okay. All right.
Actually,
okay, you're going to have to spell that one out in the chat also for me to tell.
It's interesting. So much of this comes from the Quran, though.
Exactly. Yeah, that comes from the Quran. No. So what year was this? What year did they find this on? I'm kind of curious.
It was written 1991.
I know, but when it
discovered in 2004.
So this is after 9/11. This chick was taking photographs of. Wow. Was anybody arrested, charged, put in prison for this, deported?
Several people were detained. Organizations like CAIR, ISNA, IIIT, and many other Muslim Brotherhood and organizations, thanks to the find in those banker boxes.
How many banker boxes are there?
93.
93 bankers boxes, folks, in a sub basement in this guy's house. And the only reason why they found this is because you got you have to be an idiot. I mean, you're in full burqa, okay? And you're out there in the middle. You look at the Chesapeake Bay, for crying out loud. I mean, you can see forever. And you're sitting there taking pictures underneath the bridge, and nobody is supposed to suspect you. Are you kidding me? That would be like saying, "Well, I only hit my wife in the forehead."
We owe a great debt of gratitude. I'm saying it wrong, but we owe a great debt to the Maryland Transit Authority. It is only because one of their guys was doing their job and did it correctly. That we have this information.
See, that's the thing. I actually heard this is I don't know, a while ago, but I've heard it multiple times. These FBI or CIA counterterrorism people, and they're on the news and they're talking like, no, you news media, you promote these guys that they're somehow these geniuses. No, the fact is, it's our part. They're not. They're very stupid people. The fact is that we are not on our guard. We let them through. You know what I mean? We're not paying attention enough. Okay, right. I mean that's why these guys get through. I mean, look at 9/11. All kinds of one. There's this one FBI agent who was screaming at him. These dudes are going to do an attack, but they're like, no, that's okay. Let it play out. You know what I mean? They had them all.
Yeah, Red, you're on the right track. I have specifically attempted to work with U.S. Army War College when they kicked out Dr. They stopped the speech, and I contacted them and I talked to them about how they're the greatest war fighters, but they have no knowledge of the war at home.
Exactly.
They're stupid, and it's interesting because the CIA will claim they have the best analysts, and they look at the FBI and say those are the ones who couldn't cut the mustard.
But it was the FBI who would say, no, we know this is what they're doing. You know, there was an FBI agent at that time. No, there's a whole documentary. You can watch it. It's the FBI. I mean, it's all documented. He's screaming at them. He's actually the liaison in the CIA, and the CIA is telling him, you cannot tell your boss what you just said.
The way intelligence works is everybody enjoys collection.
Yep.
But doing something with that intelligence requires a politician and several others to say, do something.
Exactly.
And so intelligence is a long, hard process.
Can I just jump in here? Just one quick point, Paul. What you're speaking of and what Dr. Rad is mentioning about letting them in, it's not a lack of, as you pointed out, intelligence. That's not the problem. The problem is that fundamentally, we don't appreciate that their system teaches them to hate America. So from their young, their education system teaches them to hate Western values. It teaches them that America is the epitome of Christianity, and they must fight against this view, this Western value. They're taught this from very young. So since our system doesn't appreciate what they believe, we think that they're all nice people. They're just like us. And they're not. They hate the system. Now, understand, as I don't hate people from this area. What I'm saying is that they're ordinary people just like us, but they have been inculcated with some very bad ideas. So if we start from that fundamental position that they've been taught to hate our system, then we'd start filtering them a little bit differently, in my view.
Yeah, I got a question. If, let's say, Islam was like communism with a little God, would we be so welcoming? If, let's say, these people were communists, would be welcoming? And the one thing that I wanted to say before was the whole Holy Land case. That kind of took place as Bush was leaving. Am I understanding?
No, that wasn't when Bush was leaving. It was under Obama.
Right, but Obama put it under the rug, so to speak.
Yeah, he didn't allow the prosecution to follow up.
Right. And I believe he also had a nice little hand in getting Morsi elected. You know, that whole Arab Spring.
He was involved with that. That is correct. Can I share one more thing here, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to share a resolution that I actually took down and proposed to members of Congress attempting to get it passed. So if anybody's interested again with this, send me an email, BEREAN_research@yahoo.com, and I will send this to them. I proposed this in 2016 and in 2017, but I couldn't find a real person of interest. So here's my joint resolution to force our agencies to work. So here's the joint resolution: providing for a congressional recognition. So it's a joint. All it is a resolution, and this is important to understand because resolutions are not laws. But if this passes, it would make the intelligence community do their job. So here's what it says: resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that Congress fully recognizes that the Muslim Brotherhood of North America has been engaged in a war against the United States of America and Canada that they call civilization jihad. The term civilization jihad comes from the explanatory memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood of North America, which was discovered in a hidden sub-basement of a leader of the said group through a legal search warrant in 2004. The document, written in 1991, declares the purpose of the Muslim Brotherhood in one paragraph, which I had just previously read. I'm going to skip that. Okay. This document of the Muslim Brotherhood in North America declares that a jihad is prescribed for those who are Muslim Brotherhood in North America. According to Reliance of the Traveler, this term jihad means to war against non-Muslims and is etymologically derived from the word mujahada, signifying warfare to establish the religion. Whereas the United States Senate and the House of Representatives formally recognized that the Muslim Brotherhood of North America has declared war against the United States of America and are carrying out these actions using alternative forms of warfare. This is nothing more than a formal recognition that a war has been declared against the United States by an entity acting within the borders of the United States of America. That's all they have to do. Okay. And I attached the English translation of the explanatory memorandum. I attached the definition of jihad in Reliance of the Traveler. All right. Those things. That's it. Now, if that's all they, I mean, if think about that, if they did that much, that's all I'm at. They just have to recognize the Muslim Brotherhood within the United States has declared war on the United States. We don't have to recognize the Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terrorist entity because we're talking about the organization here in the United States. So, and this is, if they have declared war on us, that means any action of the Muslim Brotherhood is now seen as treasonous. So what would happen? And what this is what actually happened when Trump was running for office. ISNA, CAIR, and several other Muslim Brotherhood organizations such as IIIT, MSA started to do whatever they could. They were putting out signs and many postings saying, we have to be ready. We're going to be invaded. We're going to be shut down, because they knew that the people that Trump was looking at for NSA and the original was going to shut them down. That's why they shut him down very quickly.
That's what I was going to say. It's like every organization is actually infiltrated by them. You've got like so you've got like in England, I guess you've got like places like Oxford University, and you've got like the police, like the Metropolitan Police, kind of infiltrated them. You've got like the FBI. Like every organization, you have them actually infiltrating from the inside. Even stuff like the UN, isn't it? It's like the UN actually has like an anti-Islamic kind of it's crazy.
Yeah, the OIC has power in the UN, and yes, you're correct. So I looked at it as just going after the interior organization. I was down there. I talked to members of Ted Cruz's team. I still think he's going about it the wrong way. I mean, I don't think it's wrong to declare the Muslim Brotherhood a foreign terrorist organization. My problem is you have to be able to say that the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States exists, and you have to be able to say that these organizations, which are listed, this is the other point here, which you have to think about, the other organizations listed in the explanatory memorandum, which still do exist, I think it's just reorganized as CAIR, should be shut down because they are treasonous bastards, if for nothing else.
Dominic, I have a friend who is British born who was over there maybe a year ago. And
yeah.
This is just a very ordinary event. He went to the barber shop. And a group of persons of that background came in as well. And they began talking about when they take over the UK. Very ordinary discussion. So what I'm trying to say is, it seems it should be clear to everyone that this ideology is a political ideology, and it's bent on domination. That's the end objective. The end objective through terror, as Paul is relating, is to take over these Western infidel countries. So a question I have for you, Dominic, what has been your experience there being in the UK every day?
But the thing is, you can go to some parts of London and you think you're in a foreign country. I mean, like, they have taken over some parts of like Luton, just up the road. It is almost like going into somewhere else if you just go into Luton.
Oh, Luton, you're in Tommy Robinson area, dude. That's hardcore.
Yeah. So Luton's just up the road from me, so it's like about 15 minutes drive. So yeah, so if you go in some of those areas, it can be
So to my mind, just a presence of a group of people is not a problem. What my concern is that they isolate themselves.
Yeah.
And in isolating themselves, they try to apply their laws to the country as opposed to the country's laws, if you understand what I'm saying. That's my concern.
The thing is, if you protest against it, you're just labelled as right wing extremist. So it's almost like so you can't do anything against it. Like, so you're either stuck one way or the other. You either fight the ideology or fight them from the roots. So essentially, you've got to kind of, I don't know, be quite smart in the way that you actually attack them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, this is not about race. This
is not
about race. This is about ideology.
But the thing is with Islam, it's not. So if you talk to a Muslim up Speaker's Corner, politics and Islam are one and the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're one and the same idea. They're one and the same ideology.
Yeah.
You can't have the Muslims don't kind of consider them, or like they don't split the two.
Right, exactly. They can't, because Muhammad never did.
No.
Hey guys, okay. So I had somebody in chat wanted to bring up this video clip here that I want to show that deals with David Horowitz confronting a student, and this is exactly why there's such difficulty in Muslims denouncing these organizations.
And make sure you pay attention to the organization she says she represents.
Right. Okay. Yep. Yeah. MSA. There we go.
Yes. Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you for coming to campus tonight and presenting your point of view. It's always valuable to have two sets of views going on at the same time. Very useful. My name is Jumana Imad Musa Ahmed al-Bahri. I'm a student here at UCSD. I was reading your literature. I found that much more interesting than the talk.
She's lying.
And I found some interesting things about the MSA, which is an organization that's very active on campus, and it is hosting our annual Hitler Youth Week. Come out to those events. If you could clarify the connection between the MSA and jihad terrorist networks, because last I checked, we had to do our own fundraising, and we never get help from anyone. So if you could clarify the connection between UCSD's MSA, or if you don't have such information, if you could connect other MSAs on UC's, because the connection wasn't too clear in the pamphlet.
Okay, just to make sure everybody knows what MSA is, your Muslim Student Association. They've infiltrated virtually every university campus in the United States, and this is what they do. They shout down any opposition to Muslim Brotherhood propaganda.
Just if you could clarify.
Okay. Will you condemn Hamas here and now?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you condemn Hamas?
Does she speak English?
Would I condemn Hamas?
As a terrorist genocidal organization.
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
So you won't. I actually have had this experience many times. You didn't read the pamphlet because the pamphlet is chapter and verse. The main connection is that the MSA is part of the Muslim Brotherhood network as revealed in the documents.
I don't think you understood what I meant by that. I meant if I say something, I'm sure that I will be arrested for reasons of Homeland Security. So if you could please just answer my question.
If you condemn Hamas, Homeland Security will arrest you.
If I support Hamas, because your question forces me to condemn Hamas. If I support Hamas, I look really bad.
If you don't condemn Hamas, obviously you support it. Case closed.
Bam.
Sorry for the echo. I was trying to mute on this thing, and evidently that doesn't work, so I apologize. But the bottom line was...
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, send me the link to Kenny. I'm going to play it on my end. I think you cut it short to him because he actually amplifies what this woman is actually saying. Okay? Because Kenny just doesn't stop at firing rockets indiscriminately. Now, I don't know if it's this clip or it was another video, a follow-up. I think that maybe our dear friend, was Devil Danny, Devil Davis.
Yeah, Devil Davis, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was in, but no, actually no, because we responded to you. That's in it, so don't worry about that. But no, Kenny, the imam, actually said in a follow up questions from Danny Davis regarding this. He said, "Absolutely, I support that. Absolutely, I support the oppressed defending themselves in any means necessary. Whether that's firing rockets, whether that's running them over in a car, whether that's a knife or a gun, okay, etc." Okay, so no, he actually supports everything that ISIS is doing. I'm sorry, Kenny Bomer, you are the extremist, okay, that you warned us about. Okay, the only difference between ISIS, Hamas, and Hezbollah and all the rest is that they are actually doing what you fantasize about. Okay, so step up your game, okay, because like the document they said, you're a slacker. You will not be rewarded as a mujahideen or mujahid. You are no soldier of Allah. You're just a little coward that hides behind his fists, okay, and women, okay, and promotes terrorism, okay. I mean, I'm sorry, dude, but you know, when we meet, coming up maybe February, it's looking like, I'll say that to your face, and you're not going to do nothing. Okay, I'm just telling you that right now. Okay, I mean, well, you might jump around and say, fight me and get into a fighting stance. Come on, fight me. I can see that happening. But as far as, you know, and then if you do assault me, you do kill me, whatever, you go to prison. Problem solving on my end. You know what I mean? But seriously, Kenny, calling you out, buddy. I'm just saying. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
Yeah. And I'm crazy enough. Am I right, Eric? I'm the crazy one, right? I'm the one. Yeah.
You need some help. This is true.
Yeah,
I'm trying to fast forward through that video to see if there's anything else that I played. I guess there's nothing else there. I'll send.
Yeah, it's not. It's not that video. It's a follow up with Danny Davis. With Danny Davis really brings out the mujahid in the mujahid. Okay, he really excites him. Yeah. That's funny.
I guess I don't have it. All right, yeah. So that video clip from David Horowitz really illustrates, and thank you, Aisha, for bringing that up and reminding us of that. This is what they do. They hide behind words, and at the same time attack you for actually pointing it out, and that's what happened right there. Classic illustration of that. Okay, we're winding this down. We got about 12 minutes left in the show. Let me go ahead, and I wanted to show this here. This was this basically illustrates how there are a bunch of anti-Semitic American-hating fools. Excuse me. These are just some tweets that CAIR has posted, the representatives of CAIR has posted. We must realize that the foot on the necks of the black and brown people of this nation is the same foot and the same knee that is choking the Palestinian people. So what he's essentially doing here, Nihad Awad, the president of CAIR, is essentially saying that he's retweeting this other guy, this Seliman's tweet. He's basically trying to equate the discrimination and slavery that African Americans have suffered in our country to the Palestinian people, and it's really sick what these guys do. And this is what the original.
Eric, please, if I can just say something very quickly when it comes down to that. I resent when people try to associate the ideology with racism. Is racism a problem? Yes. But the ideology of Islam is not a race. It's not a race. And this is something that we need to emphasize. In Norway, they were having a demonstration against Islamization of their country. And there were counter demonstrators saying, down with racism. Islam is not a race. Right. The last time I looked at Boomer, he looked like a white guy to me. You know, and he talks he looks like, and he is the epitome of the false ideology that's being spread in the United States. So I'm just want to make it clear, Islam is not a race. To be fighting against that ideology is not racism. To oppose that ideology is not racism. Racism is a different issue. Do not conflate the two.
Well, it's gotten to the point where the use of or the playing of this race card it's where they really watered it down. Where when you look at what true racism is, and then when what true racism is, and then trying to equate everything as being racist, it really takes away from the meaning and the impact and how ugly true racism is.
Well, I will go so far as to say Islam is not a race, but it sure is racist, because it definitely doesn't treat black people the same as it treats white people.
Yeah.
You could just read from the Quran and their definitions of terms. Quran is Quranic faith. The belief in Islam is definitely racist against black people. I mean, after all, Muhammad sold 2 black slaves for the price of 1 white slave.
Yeah, and he hated black dogs too, so dogs are in there.
He hated dogs. Oh,
black dogs.
Black dogs.
So I'd like to add something to this part of the conversation.
I mean, call people racist heads.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that David Wood did a really good video on.
It was his video on Muhammad Ali changing his name.
Right. Yeah.
It was an excellent video.
It was just absolutely. Of course, you have David Wood's humor and all that, but the wit and the facts there that he brought. Okay, Issa, you need to talk loudly. I can barely hear you, but I can hear you wanting to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep,
okay,
a lot better.
Thank you. Sorry, yeah, it's maybe my computer where I'm at. I'm out in like Higgsville. So the thing I wanted to talk about this type of issue is it is an interesting question. Dealing with, because I feel that religion is inherited also. We have to look at that part, like the anthropological element, that a lot of people, so why it becomes this kind of race issue is that, in a sense, it becomes an ethnicity. In many countries, Islam is an ethnicity. It's not just a religion. Like you go to Sri Lanka, you go to India, your Muslim is an ethnicity. So, I mean, we need to understand that it's become an ethnicity also. It's not just a religion. That doesn't mean that you practice or whatever, but it can be ethnically tied. And also, I had brought this up on Ivan Bomer's show. I said there's a lot of intra-racism within the Islamic community, particularly from South Asians and Middle Eastern folk, we might call them Arabs, whatever term you want to use, towards people who are black. That exists. And it's a real problem. It's a very big problem. And in the modern day, like if you want to intermarry, let's say you're a black man, you're a black Muslim man, and you want to marry a Desi woman, that's South Asian. Let's say you want to marry a Pakistan, Indian, Bangladesh, Sri Lankan, and you come and want to propose. It's going to be very hard for you because you're going to have to face all these stereotypes against you. You're going to be viewed as being of a lower class. This stuff exists, and it really needs to be observed and engaged instead of swept under the rug. And I wanted to engage that post that you had up, the post of the Palestinian situation. See, the problem is with this Israel-Palestine situation, it's very complex. And a lot of people just like to go to the, just say, reduce it to this horrible, evil apartheid oppression. That's not what's going on. It's extremely complex. It is nuanced, and it deserves to have justice. And I think it's very unfair when I see that post. Are you going to talk about what Pakistan does? Are you going to talk about what Masri or Egypt does? Are you going to talk about, what's happening in Bangladesh, like the big sex slave trade that's going on there? Are you going to talk about all these issues, forced disappearances, poverty, starvation, air pollution, all these problems? And you can look up Amnesty International. They engage all these places that talk about all the injustices that go on in these countries. But I never see a post saying, oh my God, let's fix our Muslim countries and make them better. No, we just hear Israel is the most evilest, greatest Satan of all time. And it's easy. They don't know anything about Israel. They don't know about the politics. And actually, one last thing. Israel is Islamic government than any Islamic country. They actually follow the millet system of the Ottoman Empire. Not one of these Muslim countries have that. They have a more just system for people who are minorities in their country, because the Ottoman Empire had a relatively okay justice system for their minorities than any other Muslim country. Pakistan has a horrible situation with its, I guess you would say, their minority status. If you're a Christian, if you're a Hindu, if you're a Sikh, it's not easy for you in Pakistan. Even if you're a Shia, it's not easy for you. And you're a Muslim. And Qadiani too, Ahmadiyya. He had a video, Mr. Imam Boner, where he was like, oh, he left a Qadiani Ahmadiyya to go to true Islam. I said, look at that bias. So Muslim people are being oppressed even in the Muslim countries. So that's it. Thank you for letting me share about that.
No, that's about right. Yeah, the most dangerous people, the greatest threat to Muslims in this world.
Thank you very much, Risa. Hold on. Let me just chime in here with something funny, and I agree with everything you said, Isa. But you mentioned the sex trade going on in Bangladesh. Do you guys want to know where the largest brothel is in the world? An open-aired brothel.
Okay,
it is literally I don't know. I think it surrounds it. It's a couple square blocks. Yes. Yes, no, it is outside of it's called the Red Mosque in Pakistan. It's the fourth largest mosque in the world. Go look this up. Brothels, Red Mosque, Pakistan. And it is the largest open air brothel in the world. And these poor women who are in the sex trade industry, and trust me, it ain't pretty, okay, are sitting there saying these same men that want to kill us, after Friday prayers, they come and visit us. Okay? That is their busiest time, okay, of the week is after Friday prayers, okay, when the Muslim men come out, they make a little fortune, a small fortune in the sex trade in the largest brothel in the world. I just thought I'd point that out because I find that kind of ironically funny. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rad, for that bit of information. I think I want to hurry up. We only got a couple minutes left in the show, guys, so I want to go ahead and whoops, wrong one. Did I stop sharing my screen? I did, because somebody wanted to get in. Let's see here. Go back to do. Here we go. All right, so here's another tweet that we pulled up from our people that Zion. See, here's the thing: Zionism is racism. The same powers that oppress the ones here in America are the same powers that oppress the Palestinian people. But in order for us to stand up, we must do so united. We must do so together. So, in other words, stand up to America, stand up to Israel, overthrow the power. Here's another one from Nihad Awad after the shooting of Jacob Blake. I'm sorry, he's apologizing to Jacob Blake that we should not have prevented these thugs from shooting another black person in the back. So they're a bunch of race baiters too, taking advantage of somebody that was, he was going for a knife or something. I can't remember exactly what that was. And they were also arrested him for sexually abusing a woman. But we don't need to let that out. I'm sorry for your loss. Israel has murdered thousands of Palestinians, total silence and unwavering support of our government. And here's where you have somebody that tried to run down a bunch of soldiers, and they said that he bled out. Shouldn't have been driving his truck at Israeli soldiers. But he was just taking his sister to the salon for her wedding that night. Yeah. That's got to be the truth. Why? Because Nihad Awad says it. And then you have this article here where 52% of Americans said Jesus Christ isn't God. And so one of the leaders from CAIR says, la ha la ya yabba dabba doo. There is no God but God, celebrating that. To be clear, Islam doesn't allow for a Muslim to pray that God. Oops, we got to go. The grant to heaven, a person who clearly rejects God, his messenger has this unlawful to say, rest in peace, about a person who died rejecting Islam, hoping that God might be kind and different. So you can't bless anybody that's not a Muslim. Let's see here. Yes, this is really good. Bismillah, 75 years ago, our government perpetrated a horrific crime against humanity, dropping a nuclear weapons Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Of course, it's a racist act to do that. Not legitimate act of war, or a nation should apologize to the Japanese people every year. What this knucklehead and idiot does not realize is that more people would have literally died. More Japanese people would have literally died had we gone in and invaded that island. Because why? Oh, well, because of their zealousness towards the emperor.
Excuse me.
And also, I would add that over 100,000 additional American soldiers who had died or would have died in this invasion. So you can kiss. I'm sorry, Ed. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, does anybody know the name Pearl Harbor?
No, I mean, unprovoked. Unprovoked. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is purely defensive. We should apologize to the Japanese people. Actually, the Japanese people ought to apologize to the Americans. And the Japanese people, and this is because you have idiots out there, historical illiterates, don't understand that nuking, even as horrible and horrific as we can think that dropping a nuclear bomb on human beings is. This is true. I'm not saying that it's not horrific to heat someplace up to about 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. No, but what I am saying is, if you were saying that this was complete inhumanity, more Japanese people, exponentially more Japanese people, would have been killed had there been a mainland invasion. Not just Americans, but Japanese people would have been killed because of the zealotry of their fighting. Because now we're attacking their homeland. They would not have relented. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions more of Japanese would have been killed than were killed in the bombing of that. This guy's an idiot.
Not to mention that ended the war.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, let's forget that little fact.
Well, one question I think that's really kind of bizarre is, I would say the thing that I think is bizarre about this whole kind of conversation that they're promoting is they're saying, look how horrible these things were. Okay, let's say that they're horrible. Let's say it's bad. In war, bad things happen. But the question is, are you going to, this is the thing I'm going to keep harping on, are you going to talk about the problems in your own cultural situations? Are you going to talk about the 1971 Bangladesh massacre? 1 million people died. Scholars, the devastation of the Bangladesh massacre is, even to this day, it used to be called the East Pakistan. It's not called that anymore because of this horrible atrocity that occurred. No one even knows about it. No one knows about the 1971 Bangladesh massacre. So I'm like, can we talk about that? Can we talk about all the kinds of horrible atrocities that occurred?
And what is Pakistan doing with nuclear weapons?
Isn't that so Islamic? Like, it's so shocking. Because, in fact, that's one thing. You can actually argue that that's an anti-Islamic thing, especially if you take a Salafi position. You can't have a bomb and you can't have a gun. If you want to fight, you got to fight with the sword, because that's innovation. A gun is innovation. A bomb is innovation. So you got to fight with swords and bows and arrows. You can't fight with bombs and nuclear weapons. That's kind of funny. I'm like interested that how can Muslims even have guns? That's a bid'ah. So what are you doing with that?
Yeah, but I have more tweets, but we're out of time. The bottom line is that not only is CAIR an anti-Semitic organization, which we demonstrated, a anti-American organization. They support terrorism, parade themselves as a civil rights group. If they want to come in and try creating whatever here, they can go ahead and bring it. But the people downtown are going to see this video, and they're going to have all the evidence. I have all this in actually, I'm going to take Paul. I'm going to take your PDF file, and I'm going to send that downtown too, just so they know what this guy's up to.
And if you can get me your email, I'll send you all the kill verses in the Quran.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'll send it to you here at the end of the show. Okay, guys, again, thank you. I mean, you guys, I sit here and I try to keep up with you guys in the chat, but you guys are you're way too fast on me. So I appreciate everybody in chat, everybody on the panel that contributed today, even those who came to the panel and didn't say a lot. DL, just saying DL. I appreciate you guys coming, and you're here, and when you guys do contribute, even if you don't contribute a lot every single day, whenever you do, it's always important, and it's always nice to hear. We're going to be here on Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. I might even have well, that's pretty good. Nim, yes, there you go. There you go.
Agreed.
A surprise for somebody else too. Okay, God bless y'all. Thank you for coming, and we will see you on Tuesday, 5 p.m. Crossing the Crescent discussion group. Thanks for coming.
All righty, thank you, and have a good rest of your Sunday.